You yawn. A few seconds later, your dog yawns. You didn't cue them. You didn't say anything. You just yawned, and they mirrored it. Most people laugh it off. Coincidence? Funny timing? Maybe the dog was tired too, but researchers studying emotional contagion, social cognition, and empathy in dogs have been investigating this phenomenon for over a decade, and what they found is that contagious yawning in dogs isn't random. It's not coincidence. It's a behavioral marker of something far more significant. Your dog isn't just yawning because they saw you yawn. They're demonstrating a capacity for empathy that exists in only a handful of species on the planet. Let's start with what contagious yawning actually is, because it's not just mimicry. In humans, contagious yawning appears around age 4 or 5. You see someone yawn, and seconds later, you yawn too. It's involuntary. You can't stop it, even if you try. And critically, it's linked to empathy. People with higher empathy scores show stronger contagious yawning responses. People with certain conditions that impair social cognition show reduced or absent contagious yawning. It's not about being tired. It's about emotional resonance. Your brain sees another person in a particular state, and your brain unconsciously mirrors that state. That's empathy. For decades, contagious yawning was thought to be uniquely human, or at least uniquely primate. Then, researchers started testing dogs. In 2008, a study at Birkbeck College in London showed that dogs yawn more frequently after watching a human yawn than during control conditions. The response was specific. It wasn't just any mouth movement, it was yawning. The dogs were responding to a specific social signal. Follow-up studies refined this further. Dogs yawn more in response to their owner's yawn than to a stranger's yawn. That's attachment specificity. The contagious yawning isn't random social mimicry. It's selective. It happens most strongly with the person the dog is bonded to. That fits with empathy models. Empathy is stronger between individuals with close relationships. Your dog isn't yawning because they saw a yawn. They're yawning because they saw you yawn. The bond is the variable. But here's where it gets complicated. Not everyone agrees that contagious yawning in dogs is empathy. Some researchers argue it's just learned behavior. The dog has observed that when you yawn, certain things happen. Maybe you settle down for the night. Maybe you become less active. The dog learns to associate your yawn with low energy states and adjusts accordingly. That's conditioning, not empathy. The debate isn't settled. But the evidence leans toward empathy for a few reasons. First, contagious yawning in dogs happens even when there's no reward. No food, no praise, no environmental change. The dog yawns simply because you did. That's not conditioning. Second, the response is involuntary. Dogs don't yawn on command. They yawn just like humans. Third, the attachment specificity. If it were pure conditioning, the response would generalize to any human. But it doesn't. It's strongest with the bonded owner. Now let's talk about what yawning means in dog-to-dog communication, because this adds another layer. In canine body language, yawning is a calming signal. It's something dogs do when they're mildly stressed or trying to de-escalate a TSCC. A dog meeting another dog might yawn to signal, "I'm not a threat, let's keep this calm." A dog in a stressful environment might yawn repeatedly, not because they're tired, because they're anxious. So when your dog yawns after you yawn, it's possible they're not mirroring your state. They're responding to a perceived change in your emotional tone. Maybe your yawn signals to them that you're winding down, becoming less active, and that triggers a calming response in them. They're regulating their own arousal to match yours. That's still empathia. It's emotional. There's also a neurological component worth mentioning. Contagious yawning in humans is associated with activity in brain regions involved in self-other processing. The inferior frontal gyrus, the posterior cingulate cortex. These are part of the empathy network. fMRI studies of dogs have shown that similar regions activate during social tasks. When dogs look at human faces, when they hear human voices, when they respond to emotional cues. The dog brain has dedicated circuitry for processing human social information. That circuitry didn't exist in their wolf ancestors. It evolved specifically during domestication. So when your dog yawns after you yawn, the same neural networks involved in human empathy may be at work in them. Not identical, but analogous. Now, let's talk about individual variation, because not all dogs do this. Some dogs are highly socially attuned. They mirror your emotions. They respond to your tone. They pick up on subtle changes in your behavior. Other dogs are more independent, less focused on human cues, and contagious yawning is more common in the first group. Breed can play a role. Working breeds, herding dogs, retrievers, breeds selected for cooperation and human-directed attention, often show stronger, contagious yawning responses. Independent breeds, livestock guardians, hounds, breeds selected to work autonomously, show weaker responses. That doesn't make them less bonded. It just means their social cognition is wired differently. There's also an age factor. Older dogs, especially those experiencing cognitive decline, may lose some of their social responsiveness. A dog who used to yawn when you yawned might stop doing it. That's not a breakdown in the bond. It's neurological aging. The attachment is still there. The behavioral expression just fades. So what does it mean if your dog yawns when you yawn? It means they're paying attention. It means their brain is processing your behavior, your emotional state, and responding in a way that mirrors or attunes to it. It means the bond between you has activated neural pathways that allow your dog to feel, at some level, what you're feeling. That's not simple learning. That's social cognition at a level most people reserve for humans. Your dog is reading you. Constantly. And when you yawn, they don't just see a mouth opening. They see a signal, a shift, a change in your state. And their brain responds automatically, involuntarily. Because after 15,000 years of coevolution, dogs have become so attuned to humans that our emotional states are contagious. Your stress affects them. Your calm affects them. And yes, your yawn affects them. That's not coincidence. That's empathy, or something close enough that the distinction stops mattering.